Today on the news and why it matters, the protests in Portland, Antifa, Proud Boys, who's good, who's not. We have got a lot to say on that coming up right now. Welcome to the news and why it matters. I am Sarah Gonzalez, joined this Monday by Mr. Chad Prather,
Hola.
host of the Chad Prather Show. Thank you for being here. Stu Bergier.
Bonjour.
No, we're all doing different languages now.
I'm very international today.
Oh, I can't wait to see what the next one is. Mr. Special Guest Aubrey Huff, a two-time World Series champ and podcast host of Off the Cuff with Aubrey Huff. Sorry.
Well, I'm Irish, but I don't know how to say hello in Irish talking.
I think you just take a bottle of whiskey.
Well, there you
I don't think any of the Irish have ever really seen the morning.
That's a great point. They don't eat breakfast. You know, they may wake up with a shot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
Pleasure to be on, Sarah.
All right, so before we get into the news of the day, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So I think Stu would agree that Relief Factor we love here at Blaze Media because it makes Glenbeck tolerable.
Yeah, it gets him in the area of being tolerable.
Ish.
Not all the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tolerable-esque.
Ask. Okay.
He had huge back problems, and I mean, he has all sorts of health problems. Basically, all the health problems. If you go into any medical journal, you'll see him just all over every page. He's really been helped by Relief Factor. I know he likes to do things like, he says he does outdoor work when he's at the ranch. I don't actually believe, I've never seen any evidence of this, but he claims to be able to do it now because it's actually
paints,
helped.
though.
Yeah, he does.
can
I
paint
just see him
now.
on TV. It doesn't look like he works too hard.
But
I'm sorry.
Really?
I don't know. That was a shot. No, that's my bad.
No, but you're dead right.
You're dead right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Relief Factor, it's 100% natural, it's drug-free. So if you are one of the millions of Americans, you just constantly live in pain and you think that that's how life is and you're just never going to get out of pain, try Relief Factor. 70% of the people who try the 3-week quick start pack go on to keep ordering more. It's working for the majority of people. It can work for you. You got to go to relieffactor.com, get that 3-week quick start pack. It's $19.95. So 70% chance that you try it and it works, and 30% chance that you try it and you're out $20, but the odds are in your favor. Relieffactor.com. All right, gentlemen, a lot to get into. Want to start with the protests in Portland. There was Antifa. There was the Proud Boys. I know the Proud Boys arranged for their, I guess you would call it a counter protest of Antifa.
Well, because they had the permits, right?
Yes.
Proud Boys had the permits, so
Yes.
it was the opposite, right? It was their
Right,
protest.
that's true. It was
Yeah.
their protest, and Antifa was the counter protest. But I guess I say that because I keep hearing, well, Antifa only showed up because the Proud Boys were there. I'm like, no, Antifa has been running Portland for the last year, probably.
Fair.
And no one's been around to call them out on it. So technically, yes, that's correct. It is Proud Boys were the actual protesters with the permits. Chad, did you watch the coverage of this at all?
I watched after the fact, so a lot of the stuff that was the kind of the highlight is points and them attacking the bus and throwing the hammers and pepper spraying and falling around in the street. Again, I don't know that anything fresh or new can be said about these guys on either side that hasn't already been said, because it's just one more lap around that's accomplishing nothing. And you want to just rant on these folks and say, you're crazy, you're unhinged, yes, they probably should be categorized a terrorist group, but there's several out there that probably should be characterized as a terrorist group. These folks are getting more and more bold in their approach to doing these things. It used to be they mouthed off in the hopes that someone would react and maybe hit them, because then they've been assaulted. You're taking it a step further now, because we saw the situation with Andy No, where he's getting, hit in the head, and we saw guys get a crowbar to the back of the head. And now we're seeing more and more pepper spray. We're seeing the use of hammers there. And so all I'm going to say is keep that in Portland. Because if you bring that to Texas,
Which I hear they're coming September 1st, what I read.
yeah,
To
they're
El
just
Paso.
coming to have a dance party.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm telling you, it is only going to take one particular time for the fuel to be poured on just the right fire, and this is going to get very deadly. Very deadly.
That's right. I mean, if these guys do, in fact, Antifa comes to Texas, I grew up here. I grew right down the road and went to Brewer High School, and So I know how Texans are. I live in Southern California now, in San Diego area.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Hey, and thank you, by the way, for the Trump plastic straw. I'm going to take that home and they're going to love that, right, by the way. But you see how Texans are compared to how people in the West Coast are, and I miss Texas people so much. I'm here, I'm loving it. I'm not necessarily loving the heat, but when I see the Antifa people, right, and if they have any kind of balls to come to Texas, I would love to see that. And for me, they should be a terrorist group. And I think Donald Trump was right. If you're going to be wearing hoods, masks, you're obviously hiding something. Why are you hiding? And all these guys, every time I look at these Antifa guys, it's typically your skinny, tight pants wearing, all in black, man bun, knowing that they probably don't even have a job. Mom and dad probably don't even talk to them. They just want the attention. And not one of these guys can really fight, and hence, that's why they throw hammers and pepper spray and everything like this. We talked about this before the show. What I'd love to see is just the courage for these guys to stand in there one-on-one on somebody and not just completely just dogpile someone.
Yeah, and it's usually not even dogpiling just someone. It's usually like some elderly person,
right?
Some child.
Which, I want you to make your point, but I think we have a video of them just coming after elderly people. Let's watch that really quick before we continue.
These aren't humans, man. These people are not cool.
Ugh, it's just ugly. A combined IQ about 6 of many of the people.
My question is, do these people not have jobs? I mean, every time you see this thing, right?
The answer is probably no.
Right. I mean, I remember about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I made a tweet, and there's a bunch of protesting going on the streets, and this became a weekly thing. And I remember making a tweet, and as an ex-athlete, kind of got buried on this, and being from San Francisco and my conservative views, which I never made known when I played. And I said something, man, you think these guys would have something better to do every day than go out and riot and protest? And no, obviously not. These guys don't have a job, right? And it just drives me nuts. And, living in their mom's basement, don't know how to fight. Like I said, I would love to see them come to Texas and get some justice.
Yeah, still.
I mean, they have another, I think Elijah also had a video of them bringing in a black case, and they open up the case, and inside it's just a giant piece of cement that they're breaking up and throwing at police officers, at buses. I mean, this is psychotic behavior. And probably the most fascinating part of this is not the fact that there's a few 100,000 crazy people in Portland. I mean, we kind of know that that's potentially possible. But it's the fact that the media just can't find their way to denounce it. I mean, they'll occasionally, every once in a while, you'll get someone in the media who will bring up the fact that this is probably the wrong thing to do. But generally speaking, I heard it on ABC News today, talking to a guest about this, about the potential of them being, designated as a terrorist group, whatever that might mean. And they said, it's just, I can't believe we're in Donald Trump's America where you have, a group that might be called a terrorist group, and they were formed specifically to stop terrorism. It's like, come on, this isn't accurate. These people are not out there to stop any form of terrorism. They're out there to assault people, generally speaking, who are elderly and defenseless, who are out there protesting. It's not a group that should be defended by anybody. And the fact that it continually is tells us a lot about the media.
So it kind of begs the question, right? Like, if they do in fact become terrorists, domestic terrorists, what can we do? Can they, in theory, any American citizen go out there and just claim, self-defense and murder them right there in the street? Right?
It can get ugly fast.
And Twitter is alive with these comments. Social media is alive with these comments of Donald Trump has emboldened white supremacists to come out and be more vocal. Well, then who's emboldening these people?
Right.
What's giving them the courage to step out in the street? And at what point in time? Because I promise you, there's a lot of people out there ready to take it to battle.
That's a great point because, Stu, as you mentioned, but their name is Antifa. Right. What they're doing is they're anti-fascist and they're fighting fascism. That's all I hear from people. And I'm like, do you know what fascism is?
Right.
Are you aware? I mean, can you?
It's a great branding exercise, right?
Right.
Like, this is what it,
Well, but they said that it was on their poster. That's what their reason is.
Cup of coffee in the world. Like, that's not true at every diner that you pass that says that.
Westboro Baptist Church calls themselves a church.
Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, right.
How about what they do? I don't think they want you to be a parent at all. Yeah. So it's just interesting to me. Do you think, Stu, are these people who formed Antifa, do they truly think that they're fighting fascism, or did they just brand themselves that way as sort of like a devious, trying to fool the sheep?
Well, I mean, this goes back to a long time ago. Antifa was an organization at one point you could argue was actually doing good things back in like the 30s.
Right. Well, right, a long time ago.
And it's been brought back several times through several sort of generations. There's always this sort of frontline marquee of we're doing good things, we're stopping these awful people. It's obviously developed into just what is just initially, at the very best, a bunch of street hooligans beating the crap out of people, and a lot of times it gets uglier than that. We saw with Andy Ngo, who's just a journalist. He's not even one of the protesters. I mean, he's just a guy out there who he says himself he's on the left, and he's out there covering these events and getting the crap beat out of him. It's obviously just a ruse at this point, and it's a ruse that the media knows is false, but they continue to embrace it because it gives them a path to criticize Donald Trump, to say, hey, this is a guy who's creating these things, who's riling these people up. When, we all know this. This is America. This is not a collectivist society. When you don't get riled up by someone, you are responsible for your own actions. Whether someone is saying something above you, and saying things that are provocative, that has nothing to do with who you are. You make the choice every single day. And I don't care who you are, whether you're saying it's anti-fascism or not. You're breaking the law. You're throwing things at people like what? Police officers? They're not the ones protesting. They have nothing to do with fascism. These are all excuses to try to justify horrible behavior, and the media continues to jump on the bandwagon and justify them.
Chad? Last word?
It's just amazing to me how many people can be that condescending when they don't even own their own home. They live. It's weird to me. Do you not have any more aspirations in life than just to be a punk, a mass?
Are you criticizing renters? Is that what you're doing?
In fairness, they may be getting paid on the side that we just don't know about.
I quite
but who's
certainly
paying
believe
them?
in that.
Did you see the video of the member of Proud Boys, the man who had, I guess, his teenage daughter with him? And they were surrounded by
actually,
Antifa.
we did talk to Elijah today. He said that she's just very small. She's apparently in her 20s.
Really?
Yeah, she looks like she's
My
like
apologies to the
But that
tiny
sounds
girl.
like their target, though. Somebody small,
They might not have.
weaker.
Yes.
And they might not have
That's
known.
their kind of target.
It did look.
She did look very young.
I would like to see him go up against a big, strapping, 6'5", 290-pound, just jack guy.
Yeah.
See what they do about that.
By the way, truly, shout out, big thank you to Elijah Schaefer, who was on the front lines of this all weekend.
He's nuts because he went
really
to this
is.
thing. Because I was like, you go to this thing, maybe you go undercover, you can talk. He's wearing like a Blaze T-shirt at this freaking event. You're nuts.
Yeah, I think that's what we do, Chad. Let's do that. We take, do in fact come
Why
September
not?
1st. Let's head out to El Paso. Blaze T-shirts. I'll have my Make America Great hat on.
that's
We'll see how
just
that
a
goes.
death
I'll wear my
sentence at
tight
this point.
shirt, lift that morning so it's busting out. We'll see how far they go.
All right, more to come. Back in a minute.
Oh, that's a show I want to see.
That's Elijah down there to film that.
Yeah, exactly.
You see the one.
Before we get back into the conversation, I want to thank our sponsor, realestateagentsitrust.com. So if you are looking to buy or sell your house, no pressure. It's just like kind of the biggest investment you're ever going to make in your life, unless you're like, I don't know, Warren Buffett or Donald Trump or someone. So the problem is that everyone says that they're a real estate agent now. They're like, oh, my brother's sister's cousin's dog sitter's grandma actually happens to do real estate on the side. She can totally hook you up. That's not who you want to use. I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that's not who you want to use. Glenn actually founded realestateagentsitrust.com, and what his team does is they vet all of these real estate agents to make sure that they are the top real estate agents in the country. They are the ones who have a tried and true formula for getting you the best deal possible. They're also the ones who share your values. Let's say you're moving from, Texas. I don't know why you'd want to leave Texas, but you're moving from Texas to Wisconsin. You're not going to know where the right neighborhood is for your family, where you guys are going to be safe, where you're going to have like-minded conservatives, because we all want to live in bubbles, right? We don't want to live in the echo chamber.
I love bubbles.
I'm trying to escape California, so maybe you guys can send me up.
Okay, well, here's where you need to go. You got to go to
Right back here to Dallas.
You got to go to realestateagentsitrust.com. They have all of the real estate agents all across the country. They have one where you are located or where you're moving to, and they can help you find the best deal. It is realestateagentsitrust.com. So update on the Rashida Tlaib. I know that we had talked about her on the show on Friday. She had, begged for entry to Israel with Omar, even though she does not believe in their existence. They said, we don't want you here. She said, but I have this really sick grandma. And they said, okay, fine, we'll let you in to see your sick grandma, but no terrorist stuff, all right? If that's enough, if that's not too much to ask. And she said, no deal, never mind. I don't want to be there. I don't want to see my sick grandma. My sick grandma would be ashamed of this. And her grandma came out and had some choice words for President Trump. This is what she had to say. Watch.
الله يهده أنا مبسوط بدي تيجي
She said, may God ruin him.
كلها مبسوطة بها
I was happy
تيجي
that she was
ست
coming. Everyone was
تشوفها.
excited that she was coming for her grandmother to see her. May God ruin him.
It's a nice sentiment.
Stu, your thoughts?
At some point, if you're the grandmother, you have to realize that your granddaughter just doesn't want to see you. That's the bottom line. She just is not interested.
Pretty much used you for political gain.
Exactly.
Right?
Like, I mean, look, if you have a sick grandmother and you want to go see her, if you get the clearance, you go see her, right? This was all from the beginning about trying to make Israel look bad, right? And the squad seems to do everything together. Why didn't they do this together? Well, this is a nice way of saying the first two Muslims, Muslim women elected to Congress, blocked just them, right? Like it looks like an anti-Muslim maneuver because it's just them. The bottom line here, of course, is when you want a country to stop existing and you're calling them a terrorist and racist regime. And I will note that they already have a law on the books that says if you support this BDS movement, the boycott movement, that you should not be allowed in the country. So you're asking that government that you just said was racist and terrorist to give you an exemption from an existing law. Like, that's a hell of a lot to ask. They do it anyway, and she still doesn't come because the whole point, as everything is always the point with the squad, is them to be a victim. That's the only target. They always have to be victimized by something. They've found something new.
I love the squad. I absolutely find them entertaining. It's fun to watch. Every day there's something else going on with these four, right? And what I love about it is, like, these are kind of things, something like this, may God just abuse Donald Trump. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, this is the kind of stuff that's going to get him reelected in 2020. I mean, this is just, it's a layup. To me, there's nothing on the left that can even go up against him. And the stuff like this is just going to incite so much more hatred towards Republicans. And that's just, for me, it's a layup for Donald Trump in 2020. I love watching this stuff.
I mean, you should see, honestly, their faces more often than you see whoever he's going to face in the election. Because if he can paint the Democratic Party and his opponent as them, he's going to win easily.
Look at this picture of her. Now, this is an unattractive woman, both inside and out. Like, you could send the hate mail to me, whatever. I don't care.
Well, how much do you drink? How much are you drinking? How much whiskey have you had? I might have a chance on the left, maybe.
Omar has some nice looking pictures, actually.
Have you seen her without the turban?
No.
I like the earrings, though.
Yeah.
I think you can make an argument Omar is actually pretty good looking.
Yeah.
She was in a Maroon 5 video, right?
She was?
Yeah, she was in, I don't know the song. It's some Maroon 5 song.
Yeah.
She's actually in the video. Girls Like You.
Girls like
Right? Me? Girls Like Me? I don't know. I'm not a big Maroon 5 guy. But
on.
Rashida, never been in a Maroon 5
Like
video.
You.
That is confirmed. We know.
Tlaib's not. But I go back to recall the video of her getting escorted out of the Trump event, and she's literally, they're carrying her out, and she's screaming at everybody saying, y'all are a bunch of a-holes. This is what you're dealing with this person. This is not, again, can you imagine, let's say Donald Trump comes out and there's a video of him looking at the left going, you're a-holes, you're a-holes, you're a-holes.
Yeah.
How much would that just be plastered across the media forever? They hold her up as a champion of the cause. She doesn't care about her grandmother. It was a publicity stunt from the very beginning. And she, you can't sit there. I loved what Israel did, because here's a person who is going to consistently say anti-Semitic things like the Holocaust gave me a calming feeling, okay? And so you're gonna snub your nose and give the middle finger to Israel, and then whenever you want to come through there, Israel gives you a middle finger right back, and suddenly you're the victim. Give me a break. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing too. Like to get out of this charge of anti-Semitism afterwards, they both retweeted a cartoon from the person who finished second in the. Oh, we have the finished second in the pro Holocaust denial tournament of cartoons, which there apparently is one. Now, if they were anti-Semitic, they would have retweeted the first place contestant, I think. So I think it's a really good argument for them.
So Aubrey, you know, it kind of, this is probably a sad state of affairs in America. It takes me aback that you're sitting here. You were in sports, like professional sports, professional athlete, and you're actually sharing your political opinion.
Well,
and I'm like, oh, you just said the squad is good because they're going to get Donald Trump reelected? You're not allowed to say that.
Sure. Well, listen, here's the deal. I get tweeted all the time about, because I did a video. It was, I think it was one of those things where it was Cora for the Boston Red Sox went out on SportsCenter. They just won the World Series. And this whole, my team's not going to the White House thing, it's, oh my gosh, it's driving me nuts. So when the Red Sox announced they were going to go to the White House, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't take it no more. And I went to the phone and I just made a little video. Oh my gosh, if I have to hear on SportsCenter one more team that refuses to go to the White House, I'm just going to lose. Can you guys just please entertain us in the arena? Right? It's basically one of those things, right? It got over 1 million views. I got so much hatred from athletes, entertainers, the whole 9 yards. Now, a lot of the people tweeted, hey, Aubrey, you're an athlete talking about politics. No, I'm not. I am not an athlete no more. Right? So I go out there now that I'm not out there influencing other people one way or the other. Baseball is hard enough as it was. I didn't want that distraction. And as a guy who played for the San Francisco Giants, won 2 World Series there, could you imagine the backlash if I came out and kind of did the Kurt Schilling thing in San Francisco, right? Where it would be crazy. I would be stupid to do so. You kind of have to know where you are in an environment and just roll with it. I went to the White House after we won in 2010. President Obama was there. Was I stoked to meet President Obama? No, not necessarily. I didn't agree with his policies and I didn't vote for him. But I still went because it's an amazing opportunity as an athlete to go to the White House, to see the rich history, to say to your grandkids one day that I went to the White House, won a World Series. It's a very honorable thing. It was so amazing to be able to see that. Swallow Pride went, and it was great.
Yeah. But Stu, would you go to the White House? You were invited. Free trip. Free trip. You just did something really awesome.
Yeah.
Free trip to the White House.
I mean,
you're
being
critical of
respectful
Donald
of the
Trump,
office is a very basic thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think it's a sensible thing. And, you know, I don't understand why this turned political, right? You saw this, you know, the Golden State Warriors were doing it. You mentioned the Red Sox, who are obviously evil. There's a lot of...
That's coming from a Toronto Blue Jays fan.
Yes, absolutely.
You do have a bright future.
You did talk before the show.
Kids they got. You got a future.
Bright years ahead, bright years ahead. But yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where, like, that used to be the basic thing. I mean, you got to believe that there's a large percentage of people who were not that excited to go see George W. Bush or Ronald Reagan or George Bush. But they went because it was something that we all kind of could come together. I mean, sports is supposed to bring us together as a country, even though we're battling the hell out of each other on the field and you know, in the bars.
Yeah.
And that just seems to be dead with this president.
Well, I can't remember what team it was. It was some college team, I believe, football team, went to the White House and they busted Donald Trump's balls for serving, you know, fast food.
Oh yeah, I love
okay.
that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, my gosh, these guys, they're linemen.
Yeah.
And when I was in college, if I'm a lineman, I'm eating 14 of those.
Oh, they're pounding those.
When I went to the White House, we got there about 10 o'clock. It was an off day. We were supposed to meet around 11 o'clock, do the thing. Obviously, he's the president of the United States. Obama had some things to do. 2 o'clock rolls around, he still hasn't come out. We're starving. There was no food out there for us. At least Donald Trump fed these guys.
You would have given anything for some McDonald's.
I didn't hear the media clamoring about we didn't get fed at the White House.
It's the only reason I would go.
To get fed McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an American
You know
institution.
there's a McDonald's like a couple blocks
Shut
away.
your mouth. That's not keto.
If you take the bun off, you got it, big
That's
guy.
all you got to do. Well, you get breakfast all day.
I get the extra sauce. But not
Aubrey, we've got a little less than a minute. Tell us where people can find your podcast.
So you go to www.aubreyhuff.com. You can find Off the Cuff with Aubrey Huff on any podcast station, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, etc. You know, it's a pretty loose show. Me and the Hammer is an ex-player that I play with in Miami. He's got a real job, and he doesn't want to be known, so he's anonymous. It's a pretty edgy show.
I've been on it.
How does
Yeah.
it have you?
I've been on it.
It's edgy.
It's strong.
We talk about pretty much anything. We sports. We've had baseball guys on. We had Scott Baio on, politics, etc. Jeff Garcia, Kurt Schilling. We just had Christian Yelich on, one of the best players in baseball right now. So it's trending up every episode.
Awesome. So go check it out, Off the Cuff with Aubrey Huff. Overtime starts next. We'll see you then.